Kane, it's 1-0. We're down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened, as I said it would. People will be... Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show, and it's time for another enthralling episode of The Final Word. What an enthralling game we went through yesterday at Ellen Road in our championship opener. It's like the saying goes, right? You leave the best till last. I know you'll have dipped into a bit of square ball today. You'll have listened to Leeds that on the podcast. You'll have listened to Lockie's player ratings and read Andrea's musings on Twitter. And of course, you'll have checked out JUSTJOE, a Leeds United, The View. But the final word is the best, right? So you'll have done the debrief and all that, and you're just waiting for the best, yeah? So we saved the best till last, coming at you later than the rest. You're probably all worn out, in all honesty, and think I can't be asked to speak or listen to Leeds again, but it is what it is. Look, before we go any further, please do smash a like on the video. Kate will be joining us soon. I've just been watching a new Leeds United show that has an all-female panel, and it was a great listen, and about time, that was a regular thing. I know all Leeds TV did it for a bit as well. It's just great because I think there's a space for it, so big up to Kate and crew that were on that, if any of them are watching. But yeah, happy days. We got through a first game in the championship, and I think that's what it is. It's got through it because Rocco, I feel like we've been here before. It almost feels like the Leeds United way at this point. Like when we went to town. I don't want to delve too much yet, but I was just like, oh, for fuck, it's happening again, man. You were at the game, Rocco. How was it in the ground?
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of an agitated atmosphere, shall we say? At 2-0. I mean, even at 0-0, actually, there was starting to get a bit impatient because in the first half we weren't really creating all that much. It was a bit sideways, patient build-up, which people have been asking for, but then weren't particularly delighted with. So yeah, when it got to 2-0, I was worried it was going to turn toxic. I think maybe it was a bit lucky that we had that penalty shout at the end of the half, because like when the halftime whistle went, it was like a proper chorus of boos. But that was at the ref, I think it saved the players a bit of a hot reception in a way. But then, as soon as Cooper gets the goal, we're right back behind him, and it was great thereafter. I think it quietened down a bit towards the end. But yeah, the players kept going, and they got obviously a much deserved equaliser. A bit frustrated we didn't win it. When we got the goal back, I thought we would go on and win it. I thought we'd at least get an equaliser. But yeah, by the end, it was a relief to get the point.
Yeah, it came, Rocky. It came quite early on in the second half, didn't it? Cooper's goal. So I was a bit like, I was thinking, listen, we get another in the next 10-15 minutes, then we go on and win this game. I don't know what your thoughts are, and I know it's really early days. I've heard, things start about chasing down the top two and that, and I'm thinking, we're only bloody one game in. What's going on, man? But, like, this is a good sign for me, Rocco, because although it's points dropped and we should have won and all that sort of stuff, but for me, it's that never say die, that it almost feels is already implemented in the squad on what's going to be. I'm not under any illusions, a tough season, but we've already shown there that we have that. I don't know if it's a Bielsa-ism. I think this squad has it, 'cause they did it under Jesse against Norwich, for example. They just go to the bitter end, don't they?
Yeah, that is good to see. And, the thing about football is if they didn't score the goal, you probably wouldn't mention that. I know they were trying, but, because the ball went in the net, we can say that. But regardless of that, it gets us off the mark, and it has a positive feeling now moving into the next game, and it gives us a chance to get some momentum, because if we'd have lost that game, people would have been, really down about it. I don't even think, even though it's so early days, like you say, you can't draw any any conclusions at all from that game. You know, the team could even be, you know, completely different in a few weeks' time. But yeah, massively important to get that point, and just the feel good factor of an equaliser, you know, for the players as much as the fans, and all the online heat.
Yeah, definitely. I know. Listen, I hold my hands up being bipolar Joe. If we had lost that game, I'd have been going 49er, spend some money. You fucking rah, rah, rah. So it is what it is. But this is football, right? This is football. We're all fickle at nearly all the time, to be fair. Joe, you were nodding along to Rocco there. It is a positive, isn't it? Getting such a late point.
It's taken me 24 hours to get to that point. To be honest, it was. I think Rocco's nailed it on the head. Frustrated was the word that I kept writing down, making notes during the game, and I kept writing down frustrated, and it was. But I think we need to take into context everything that Farke has said. I mean, he doesn't keep telling us it'll be a bumpy start and then expect us to absolutely cakewalk past Cardiff. Like he did tell us this was going to happen, so we kind of have to take that on board as well. There's some good elements in the game that I think will improve. I thought our build-up play was super slow in the first half and part of the second half. And myself and Andrea were talking about it on Twitter yesterday, despite the fact that I thought Sinistera and Somerville both had very good game. I think at times they took too much out of the ball and maybe killed their momentum at times, and we could have got in behind quicker. So, but that's all early season stuff. That's just tempo, and tempo comes with games, and tempo comes with familiarity, and tempo comes when the players start getting used to each other and the runs they're going to make. And I think there's a lot of positives in a dominant possession-based performance, albeit a slow possession-based game. I can only see it getting faster the more comfortable they get used to each other. So that's the strong part. The negative side of it is the same negative as before, same players, same defenders, same issues. If I can be negative for 2 seconds, I don't know what happened to Pascal Stroke. I just don't. I just think he's gotten into a big centre half now who's super weak in tackles, super weak in 50-50s. First goal, should be winning the ball. Doesn't, goes past. Get your man, kicks the ball through him nearly. And you're like, you got to be stronger than that. I was frustrated he held it as well. But I think if you look at the amount of ball we had, we've got to get used to teams sitting deep, because that's what happened. Because our build-up was so slow, that allows Cardiff to drop into a low block, park on the edge of the box, and make it really difficult for us. I think I said in my own analysis after the game, we need a different type of striker if this is going to happen all season. I don't know if Joel Perreault is the right kind of guy for that system. I think he's going to get in behind if there's nowhere to get in behind. So I think it's more of a poacher you're looking for then. But not every team will play against us. The better sides will come out. But look, you can lose a lot of games in the championship and still get promoted automatically and pretty comfortably. Yeah. We saw that last year. So I wouldn't be worrying about this too much. What I will say is, every game up till now has been, for 49ers and for Farke, has been a kind of a soft launch of the team to have a look at the players. I think now they've seen it in a competitive environment, in a competitive game. I think a couple of alarm bells on a couple of positions will be ringing out. The biggest takeaway for me from the game was, if you look at the bench, I would be really, really concerned for every single player on that bench if they don't make a mark in the next 4 weeks, because you've got Harrison, Adams, Bamford, Rutter, Drama all to come back. You're going to put 7 subs on the bench. A lot of players are going to lose their positions there. And then the other side as well, they keep saying it, there's 3 or 4 more players to come in. So you could see that entire bench vanish in a month's time, should they not make an impact. I think a few of them did. But Farke didn't seem overly keen to go to the bench too early. I think it was into the 80th minute when he made the first unenforced change. And again, I thought Ian Pavetta when he came on was excellent. Again, I'm not going to keep banging that drum. I thought when he came on, he just gave us something different.
All right, you were right, mate. You were right. All right. I'm joking.
Then he does it on a 90-minute game when it matters. We're not right. No one is right or wrong on it. But I thought it was great to see a player coming on and changing how we were playing. And I thought he gave us a little bit of something else. So there's a lot of positives. There's a couple of negatives. The negatives are the same old negatives that need to be sorted out. And I think the touches, the speed, the passing will get crisper and faster as the weeks go on. There is a level of patience with this. We just need to, as Farke keeps saying, we need to get through this month, and then we can start to talk about where we are and what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Loads in there. I think the big one, as everyone's saying, Adams probably won't be here because Adams looks like he's on his way to Chelsea. I do just want to come to Kate. I just want to shout out Evie as well. I mentioned it before you came live, Kate, or came and joined us, but it was great to see your post-match show with an all-female panel. I dipped in and watched a bit of it myself. It's great to see there's a real space for it. So big up to Evie, the rest that were on there, and yourself, Kate. But what are your No problem. What are your initial musings on yesterday's game?
God, where do I start? So basically, I guess I'll try to be positive to begin with. There was a lot of good going forward, particularly in the second half when we sort of came alive. Even up to that point, there was a lot of great passing out from the back, and it's actually nice to see Leeds United construct some sort of little patterns of play and stuff. We're so sort of unused to that. But again, like I'm sure everybody said, I'm sure I'm not saying anything that hasn't already been said. Defensively, I don't know what Ayling was doing at the first goal. I put a screenshot in my show this morning. He was literally seemed to be like standing around, and I do think that was perhaps the camera angle, but he was just literally standing, way off the goal when that first goal was scored, and literally hasn't got the legs to keep running forward and back. We need somebody in there who can cover for him, as we discussed earlier. But then second half, we threw everything at it. And I think the tenacity and the refusal to give up and, really kind of gives me hope. We didn't capitulate. We just kept on going and ramped it up. We were faced with a massive, Cardiff defense that big guys physically. I think we struggled against in that respect. But yeah, there was no space for us. So I was interested what Joe was saying. I saw it on your show yesterday, mate, about the Joel Pirro not necessarily being the right person to get in behind, because there is literally no space in front of goal. So yeah, that's what do I think. Disappointed with the 2-2 draw, but at least we got a point. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. It's quite interesting you mentioned. I think it's quite interesting you mentioned Joel Pirro not fitting the system, because one guy who's right next to me, Mr. Ben Lockwood, had mentioned that on a few occasions. To be fair to him, so I just want to give him his flowers for that. But look, I think everyone sees goals, don't they? And but there's a reason as well that Swansea's new manager, who was at Barnsley, I think previously, has gone for two different profiles of striker to what Pirro is, because I don't think Pirro also suits his style of play. I was listening to that on the podcast. I'm not professing to sit here and say that I've watched Buddy Swansea or him at Barnsley, but I'm just echoing what was being said there. So it is what it is. Right, Lockie, your initial thoughts. I know we've been chatting this afternoon. We will delve down into a few bits, one of them being the defence, but just initial overriding thoughts on yesterday. You were at the game as well, Lockie, so talk to us.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know if you thought the same, Rocker. Yeah, it was a bit flat, wasn't it? The atmosphere at times. It was really weird. And I was right next to the Cardiff fans, and they were quite loud, to be fair. I'll give them credit. They were very loud, but I was right next to them. But yeah, it was the first half for me was flat and passive in every sense, I think. The movement was non-existent from the front four at times. It was frustrating. I think it was Ampadu had the ball. No, it was Cooper had the ball at the back, and everyone was just stood still looking at him. And I'm going, what's going on here then? And I'm thinking, are they still in that mindset of last year where they don't understand where they're meant to do? Like, what's going on? Is it the pressure? But the second half ramped up, and we came out a different side. And it's weird because the first half was really passive. I think the second half was phenomenal. I genuinely think we were utterly dominant. They came in our box really once that entire half and had a shot. Probably should have done better with it. I do agree with the defensive side of it. But the thing for me is it's not a system issue. I think it is a player thing, because it's not like we were getting battered by chances. They had 2 chances, right? That's it. That's all they had in the game, and they scored 2. I remember under Bielsa in the championship, we'd batter teams all for 90 minutes, and then they'd get 1 shot and they'd score it. Because teams... And
I think that's the problem, Lockie, is that it's still that same defence, bro. It's still the same defence.
Players, it's the attributes of the players. It clearly got it in them, and it's not going to leave. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to lose concentration. We need backup in that position. We need players who have not got that, I think. But I just think going forward, I've watched a few games. I watched the Blackburn game. I watched, obviously, Southampton, Leicester before it. That second half, you talk about the side. We don't know who's good in this league really at the moment, do you, really? Let's be honest. I just think we're utterly dominant. I think we could have scored 4 or 5 in that second half. with some more, like Nonto had 1 or 2 hit the bar.
Yeah.
Somerville's shot where it went just wide. Dan James, what a save that was. Real chances, the offside one as well. I was, the first half, I was a bit like, oh, this isn't great. But I always had a little feeling in me that we were going to come back into it because they had to. They had to be more than that, right? So I'm one of them as well. I don't really, I'm not saying I don't care. I'm not as fussed about results straight away. Look at Burnley last year. They won 1 in 5. Farkas teams in the Championship won, I think when they won the league, I think they won 1 in 4 in the first 5 games. Like, it's about looking at the good things of the game and going, right, that was really good. Then looking at the weaknesses and addressing it. And that's what we need to do. We have to address the weaknesses. Attacking wise, I'm more encouraged by what I saw. I actually quite like Nonto. I thought he did really well. I thought he worked really hard, given he's not really played there often. I thought he'd put a shift in and was unlucky at times as well. But yeah, it's a mixed bag. But as a whole performance, I'm going to take that second half. We work on the mistakes. I think we'll be absolutely fine. Yeah, just need to recruit good players in defence.
Yeah, got loads of positives in there, mate. Especially the Burnley and Norwich shouts. 1 in 4 and 5 wins. That's music to the ears, really, when you hear it like that. Let's come to you then, Andrea. Talk to me about the game, bro, and your shadow, Andrea, and your shadow.
I just had to cancel the camera for a bit because you couldn't believe it, but there was another bee. Indeed.
Oh God, the return of the bee. These bees in Italy must be bad. Rocco, have you seen bees in Italy?
It's fake news, mate.
No, but seriously about the game, of course, I'm relieved we got a draw in the end because we didn't deserve to lose. They had, like you said, 2 chances / 3 because the one of Grant when he got behind Ayling, like Odauda did a few minutes later, was of course offside. But overall, relieved with the draw. Of course, the first half was really difficult because we didn't understand how to attack them because they were crowding around Ampadu. Ampadu was struggling to get free, to find space to get the ball and dictate the play and create. I think Gray was fundamental in that first half. He was instrumental in carrying the ball also because there was little to no movement going forward, especially where to Void and the Gray in various occasions. He did really, really good in bringing the ball up front, but nobody was near him, so he struggled to get a solution, a pass, an option, and especially the slow ball circulation didn't help us. There was no verticality and they were going wide, so ultimately that's why we were really, really frustrated.
It's back, innit? I can see you looking over. He puts his glasses on. Is it back? Is it back?
No, really, it's not a bee. It's not a bee.
Is it a wasp?
That's fine.
It's a wasp.
No, not a wasp. It's like another insect, but we'll talk with the insect later, okay?
Insect watch.
Just to finish that, I think Farke was instrumental a lot of time when he blocked Bayram in because Yaldo was absolutely getting bothered by Bowler getting behind him because he used to help the midfield when we were going forward, and Bowler had a lot of space when they attacked. And of course, and the second goal was mainly Yaldo's fault, as well as the first goal was Ayling fault, but not just Ayling. Ayling, of course, was the main culprit in that one, but everybody went looking for the ball and not looking for the Cardiff player following the play. So it was a general disaster by the defense in the end because everybody went looking for the ball. I think Falca adjusted the team pretty well in the second half, and we were brilliant, considering also the fact that, of course, Cardiff, I think, did a mistake to drop down and get dive deep into their own half because they were causing problems to us going forward when they had a formation more higher on the pitch, around Ampadu, like in the first half. In the second half, they dropped deep, and I think it didn't help them because we found space with Ampadu and Gray, and of course, we got more narrowness in the middle where we were too wide in the first half, and with Sini, Nyonto, and of course, Somerville combining between them, I think we find more space and opportunities. Also, James had a good chance. But apart from that, I think the narrowness and the sub of Bayram were instrumental for me, especially because Bayram blocked every initiative they had on that wing, in contrary to the first half. So at least we got a draw. I think if we look just the second half, we deserve to win. Looking at how we create the pace of the circulation, but we need to consider the first half. And the first half, I wouldn't consider that poor, to be fair, but the two defensive errors, of course, were really poor.
There
was no verticality, so we didn't help ourselves to find solutions.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I know we went in 2-0 down, but it was like you say, 2 chances. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't as if Cardiff were better than us. We just were terrible at the back, you know. Go on, mate.
That was the issue for me. Everyone's pointing a finger at Luke Ayling in the first goal, saying, "Where was he? Why isn't he there?" People are sharing these screenshots of
a lot of issues in that goal, weren't there?
But just to point out something that everybody seems to be missing. Callum O'Dowd is the left back, not the left winger. Yeah. Who the hell's marking the left back, the winger? Not Ayling. That is not Ayling's man.
All right, Jack. Sorry. No.
No, it's right. It's right, though. He's right.
4 or 5 different group chats, and everyone's just having a swing at the obvious choice, which is Ayling. And it's not true.
No.
Ayling follows. No, he's wrong in one sense. Ayling goes inside, and he shouldn't go inside, but he follows the winger. In Farke's system, one of the defensive midfielders is supposed to fill that gap, which they didn't do. So there's another. That's the second mistake. The third mistake is Willie Gnonto. The front four were so fluid; they were all interchanging. Willie Gnonto finds himself on the right wing, which is where Callum O'Dowd was, and he lets him just go.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
The entire field. Ayling is miles out of the position at that stage, so he not Ayling's man.
And he jogs after him. He don't sprint. He jogs after him.
Yeah, exactly. He
didn't know what he was supposed to do, did he? Really? That's what it was. Like.
And there seems to be a bit of that, and that's where the rustiness for me comes in. And I'm not overly worried because I think we fixed that. Farke did say during pre-season that we haven't worked a huge amount on the defensive side of things. He's trying to get the style nailed down because it's a shorter pre-season. So, but it is a bit easy sometimes to look at a space on a pitch and go, "Oh, that's the right back spot. That should be Ayling." But actually, where's the guy that Ayling is supposed to mark? And
I think,
I think unless you understand football, though, at a certain level, though, Jer, to the lay fan, it looks like he's standing there. Do you know?
I know that.
100%.
That's where I get the. That's where I say it's the easy swing to look at it. I mean, people are sharing a screenshot without actually going and looking at it themselves and forming their own opinions.
But this is the point, isn't it? This is why we do shows like this, so we can hear different viewpoints and people who will see it differently. And I agree with you. Like I said straight away, and I think a lot of it is due to the fact that I am a old guard apologist. I do try to see the best in them all the time, and people are telling me, Joe, Cody Drama had one poor performance against Martinelli. You never forget it. Ayling has poor performance week after week. And I'm like, yeah, but it's Bill. It's all right. So I get it as well, right? But when that goal was scored, Gnonto doesn't follow him. And also, I mean, Ayling's wrong in... he thinks the ball's going into Ramsey. So he goes straight up to Ramsey to try and get there. But basically, it doesn't go to Ramsey. It goes into O'Dowd. And then from there, not just Ayling, from there's a catalogue of errors as well. Like, there's so many.
The 3 lads in the box were, I mean, Ampadu blocks the initial cross. Look, 3 of them just don't get a block on it.
Look where the goal scorer comes from. He comes from Leo's side. Leo doesn't follow him at all. So
Leo with a poor half. To be fair.
Yeah, he was. He was not good.
Getting cut in behind for Leo was the concern. That the reason I wanted held it in that team ahead of Bayern, I understood the reason was because he gives you a more defensive.
So we thought.
Correct. The issue for me was on the second goal. The fact that he gets done in behind in 5 yards of space is the issue. Not that he was done in behind with 60 yards of space. It's such a compact area and he manages to get in around the back of him. But then even after that, Cooper goes across. Then Stroke runs across and makes it super narrow. Ayling has to step in and cover the gap. But then Stroke doesn't win the tackle. That's the one I'm saying. He's super soft and the ball goes across and it's a goal. And it's like... And also, and I'm probably being too harsh, but I'm not saying it's Melié's fault. But Bill manages to run the width of the box to try and get to the back post to block the ball from going in. Yeah. Melié just turns and looks at it and makes no attempt to get across the line to try and get down on it, you know, and that annoyed me as well. But his footwork is still an issue for me. But the only thing you could say about it is they're fixable mistakes. Yeah. They're not systematical errors, they're individual errors, and individual errors can always be fixed pretty easily.
What I would say, and let's spread this out a bit. I want to come to you, Rocco, and I think Jer's bang on about it not being a systematical issue, but more of a individual mistake. But are we not seeing too many of these mistakes now? And I want to focus on the back 5 because I want to talk about Melié as well. Because I agree with Jer. I did look at him, especially for the second, and think, I'm sure he could have done more. I'm not a goalkeeper, but I look at it and I think he should have done more. Leo, obviously Byron came in and improved it, but Cooper getting injured as well. It needs wholesale changes for me, Rocco, at the back, and that includes Ayling, and I love him, but, you know, he needs some time away, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm coming round to thinking as well. You know, the problem is that it's just been so long, you know, so long where we've just been conceding 2 goals a game. And I was hoping that the step down, they would be able to regain their confidence and they would be good enough for this level. I'm not sure. I know it's only 1 game. So, you know, that opinion or hope still stands. But it was a bad start, you know, Ayling, I thought for both the goals, really. You know, the thing for me about that first one, I completely get that. I saw that and thought, oh, you know, Gnonto's to blame there. But Ayling's a senior player there. Yeah, he should, like, the main danger was the wide man. You know, he's gone forward into midfield where, you know, the worst danger was the fullback, and he shouldn't have trusted Gnonto to track him, or he should have made sure Gnonto tracked him. Don't think there was much talking going on. I couldn't be sure. So yeah, he's just getting caught out all the time, and it's happened again, you know, potentially twice. I'd like to see the second goal again, because I thought he was static again, and reacted late to when it came across the box. Yeah, Hjelde, again, yeah, difficult to say. You know, I thought he was doing all right, but then, you know, the one time he's tested, he fails badly. And that's the problem. Like, you could point to it and say, oh, well, it was one mistake, but it's cost us a goal. You can't be affording those. And I just feel like, I mean, going back quite a long time, but like in League One, when Gary McAllister got sacked, like, we were leaking goals, like, left, right and centre. He brought in Richard Naylor, like, one signing, and he just completely transformed it, having a leader who would just go and win every header, you know, a real, you know, physical, strong, reliable centre-back. And, like, from there on in, you know, we were, you know, I think we lost like 1 or 2 games for the rest of the season. So I'm just hoping someone like Nat Phillips can do that, because I'm not expecting to have wholesale changes. Maybe it just needs that one person to come in. I know Cooper's a leader, and what, you know, he may fit the bill that I'm saying, but I think it needs fresh blood to really push them on. I thought Cresswell did well, and, you know, maybe he can come in and do a good job. But
I was just going to ask you that, Rocco. Could that be Cresswell? Could it be Cresswell?
I think it's a big ask. I think Cresswell would need an experienced and reliable partner. You would expect. Maybe if he is special, then great. You know, let's see. Fingers crossed he might be that guy. But yeah, history would suggest that you need someone a bit more experienced that the defense can look up to and just feel a bit more confident about. You know, you're looking at, a lot of it's in the dressing room before the game. You're looking around your teammates. These are the guys that have conceded 200 goals in the last 2 seasons or whatever, you know. So it is like perceptions as well. I think that does sort of set the standard straight off. So yeah, I do think we need fresh blood for sure.
100% it is. Everyone's peppering the chat right now, Andrea, saying we need centre backs. We've only got 2 fit now. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's wild. It's wild.
And unless you want to play Strauch and Cresswell again against Shrewsbury, and again on Saturday, you need to have addition and sign some players there, because of course, like I said, recently we've lost Koch, we've lost Llorente, we've lost Weber. Christensen too used to play as centre back recently and towards the end of last season. So of course we need new players to come in, especially with Cooper injured. You know, there's been talks about Nat Phillips. There's been talks about now at Sidiakos. So surely they have to sign someone, because of course, apart from Strauch and Cresswell, the only other options are the under-23s, Moore and Mullen right now. There's no other option. I think, too, of course, unless you play, like someone is suggesting, to Hjelde as a centre-back against Shrewsbury and start Byram, you don't have other alternatives right now. You know, we need
for me, sorry to jump in, we can't start Byram, because we already know he's not. If he goes and plays against Shrewsbury and gets injured, it's like, bloody hell, we need more bodies now. Yeah, so exactly, but it's wild, isn't it? It's wild.
The real problem is that they train with 16 players before the game. And of course, a lot of the players who played yesterday will play again against Shrewsbury. So it's already 2 games this week, and again the game against Birmingham. So there's no alternatives. He has to play with those players again. right now. We need signings, and of course at the back probably at least two centre backs, because you see Cooper gets injured, you have 2 players left. There's no real alternatives, and I agree Cresswell will look good when he came on. Struijk was better in the second half, but I have the image of him chasing down Etete when they played the through ball, and it still worries me when he has to follow the player trying to get a hold of the ball. Still worries me, because he loses a lot of tackles and physical battles right now. He doesn't look in a good place in terms of timing, especially right now, Struijk.
I think you bang on, and someone put a comment to what Joe was saying earlier about Struijk, saying, yeah, but did you see his numbers? And this is the thing. Numbers can only get you so far. You also have to take the eye test as well. You also need to watch the football game, because yes, okay, he might have played more passes than might have been as a team we played all last season in one game or so. I think the stat was, yeah, great. But if you're not doing the fundamentals right, is it that great? Do you know what I mean? This is the thing. So I hear, yeah, he might have done well in certain statistics, but ultimately, yeah, there is still parts of his game. I think he's also culpable for the second goal. The whole left-hand side for me when he cuts in, it's just too easy. It's so championship. Championship. I was like, what's going on?
And the stats and the XG don't influence the final results. You may have a better XG than the other team and lose the game. So in the end, yesterday we had many chances, but it was 2-2 in the end. They had 2 chances to score.
The stats are only a guide. I mean, even I've had stats guys work for me, and it's great, and you get some really good details from them. But you also have to look. Remember when Jap Stam was managing Reading and they played against us? I think they had more 2 centre halves with more successful passes than any of the players in the park. But all they did was pass the ball to each other. They never crossed the halfway line. The impact was 0. So it's a good benchmark. But the benchmark for me with Pascal Struijk is how many one-on-one duels did you win? How many tackles did you win? How many goal scoring opportunities did you stop? That's your job. If you can complete some passes forward, great, but that's not your main job.
Yeah. I just want to throw this. I'm going to throw this to you, Lockie. Big up to Ethan, by the way, who's been a member of this channel now for 27 months, which is absolutely amazing. So big up to you, Ethan. He says a 49ers after a left back. Not that I've read, but I've heard this said a lot, and I wanted to throw it out to you, Lockie, about potentially moving Byram to right back and then going after a left back. Is that something you would support, Lockie, or?
I liked Byron when he came on, and it's worried about him. I was always worried he's going to be injured for forever. But when Byron came on, and massively, the balance of the game completely different. The width we had on both sides, we became a threat attacking on both sides then. So he massively helped. Now, I'm not sure, because I think he's been brought in and he's been playing left back. So as Farke brought him in to do that role, I'm not sure. But I think, I don't know. It's hard to say that when he did really well left back, right? Every time we've seen him, he's done well left back. He might be a completely different player. It's like Pascal. Does really well at the left side, right side of centre back. He's taking left side centre back, completely different player. But having said that, based on form purely, I think Sam Byram's definitely knocking on the door to start at fullback. I'm not even knocking on the door. He's been our best fullback. I think in 45 minutes, he was our best fullback yesterday. Now, he
really made the difference. Really made the difference.
100%. Not even just him personally, but the system, the balance he brought to the side, the attacking threat he had on that side, and he created space for the midfield. Now, the question is, obviously, if you move him to the right back position, then who's left back then? You have to identify that target. And obviously, there's a lot of targets out there, but I still think it's a risk, because we do have Cody Drame as well that's in there. So I think Farke is going to develop Byram in that left back position based on this bit more depth we have at right back. So it's quite difficult to have 3 right backs and have 1 left back. So the question is on Drame, though, isn't it? People bigging him up, but what have they actually seen from him?
Yes, this is always my point. This is always my point on Cody. Let's wait. I
watched him a bit for Luton last year. He was all right. Now, will he work systematically? Again, we'll find out. But he's injured, isn't he? I think he's injured. Yeah, so he's not playing. So that's not great for his development. He's a week back, 3-4 weeks behind everyone else. So that'll take time. Yeah, I'm not sold on him yet. I'm really not.
Yeah, I agree.
I like his
and
potential, but
yeah, I just want to say on Byram as well. I think there's a case that because he's played Leo. I mean, it might just be because there's a necessity, but I know we've spoken about it before in that, and you can see from the system setup that Daniel Farke prefers one side to be high up, almost like a winger at times, and the other one to be inverted and more narrow. You know what I mean? So I think Byram probably suits the left back as does Hjelde. I'm not sure. See, for me, I think that if they do get a fullback, he'd probably play both sides. If I'm being totally honest, I think that's what he'll look to do because unfortunately, we don't have a luxury of being able to go. We can get a left back and a right back and a centre midfielder, then an attacking midfielder and another striker. We just don't have the facilities. You know, Daniel Farke said yesterday about the funds again, and you know, it's clear that it's very much one in, one out. So, you know, in a sense, beggars can't be choosers. We have to accept that maybe we won't get all that we need in this window, to be honest. And I think Daniel Farke understands that as well now. It's a bit naff, but it is what it is. Yeah, go on, mate.
On Creswell as well. I was going to mention something on Creswell. What I really liked, the first thing he did when he came on, he went through a guy and won the header. Literally within seconds. He jumped in the air. I was right behind him. He absolutely smashed him and won the ball as well at the same time. When else did we do that? We didn't. He told him straight away, right, I'm playing now. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I liked about Poveda when he came on. He told that left back, he looked at him in the face, square on him, and said, I'm here now, and I'm going to take you on. We need players that are going to put that gauntlet down, and we didn't have that in the first half.
Yeah, and about the one higher on the pitch, more advanced fullback, and the other one more down on the pitch, more defensive-minded. I think in the second half, they were both high, by the way, advanced. Both Byram and Eiling, and I think that's the ideal scenario for Farke in the end, because it was like that at Norwich with Lewis and Aarons. So for me, I think Byram, if he has an alternative player who has the same characteristic as Byram and can play both phases pretty well, going forward and going back defensively, but right now he doesn't have that player because the only alternative he has with Firpo injured is Hjelde at the left. He would like to play Byram right now as right back for me, but he cannot because the alternative is Hjelde, and so he's forced to play on the left back. I think Eiling ultimately, because you've seen Byram getting very one-on-one, overlapping, underlapping. Eiling doesn't do that right now. Eiling doesn't do that, and I think he likes to have two fullbacks who can both attack and defend at the same time. And going forward, Eiling, of course, he did two runs in behind. And one of was offside too, if I remember correctly. But he doesn't have the characteristic to go one-on-one and dribble or going behind and attack the space, you know. So I think he's forced to play him at left back. Honestly, if we had an alternative similar player and a new left back comes in right now, I'll start the new left back with those characteristics and play Byram as a right back. But right now you can only play him as a left back because the alternative is Hjelde, and Hjelde is more defensive-minded.
Yeah. And not very good, in all honesty. People went wild for him after I think it was Monaco, and I thought he weren't great in that as well. I remember, but yeah,
because he used to be a centre back.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing.
His career there, though, he's played the bulk of his career left back since he left Celtic, and I mean, even at Celtic, he went out on loan for a season. Then he was at Celtic, and he played left back, and then he came to Leeds, and he went straight in at left back on 21 side. So,
do you know what the thing is as well?
For me, for his type of play, I consider him more as a centre back. I'm sorry,
just because of his build and that as well. I think.
I don't disagree with the show. That's his natural position, possibly, but I disagree. I don't. Sorry, not I disagree. I just don't think he's good enough.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, and I was going to mention it earlier when Rocco was talking about the drop down and thinking that the players would be able to cope with it. On that White Rose Rivals that I do, the Huddersfield fan on there mentioned like Hogg and stuff when they dropped down out of the Premier League, and they were like, they'll do it at this level, and they just couldn't cope. And I spoke to the Rotherham fan who had Hjelde, and he said, oh no, he's good, everyone loves him, he puts it in, but I'm not sure he's ready for a team pushing for promotion. And I think we're seeing that. And yeah, we definitely do need bodies. Let's move up the pitch slightly and let's move into midfield. I want to come back to you, Rocco. Archie Gray, I mean, for me, he was the better of the two. I thought he was the better of the two. And the reason I think maybe more so that's because I think Ampadu had special attention put on him early doors. I think for me, Cardiff, they seemed to know that the ball was going to go to him and sort of left Archie. And then when they realised Archie could play a bit, they were like, right, okay, we've got two to contend with here. But for me, I thought over the course of the minutes that he played, phenomenal. We were saying, weren't we, in the prediction show, you can tell it don't faze him. For 17 to play as well as he did was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. I was so impressed. I'd not really seen him, much of him at all. So yeah, hearing you guys on the preview show, getting up excited about him, I was pleased to hear it. But you need to see it for yourself, and I thought he was just superb. I was like you, at the game, I was thinking that he was my man of the match. But then in the end, I watched the Twitter video of all Ampadu stuff, and I thought that was just brilliant. I loved him as well. So, two massive positives there. Two really good midfielders. Again, I suppose you have to temper it just by saying, well, we don't know what Cardiff are like, although, they've got Ramsey in there, but, they may be not that good. Let's see how they do, in the difficult away games. It's a different challenge, but really good. Gray was so comfortable. And the thing about Gray as well, I think he was holding back. Obviously he's going to get better because he's only 17, but I think he'll get better, over the next few weeks, when he starts getting a bit more confidence to do the cross-field passes and, look to break the lines a little bit more. I think he was safe in that first half, but some of the skills he does on the ball, I don't think he gave the ball away until about the 78th, 80th minute. I can't remember him losing possession ever. And he was the one that was giving the ball, all the time. He was dictating all the play or trying to. Yeah, really impressive. And I feel like he could end up being Leeds' youngest captain because, he's such a, mature head on his shoulders. The way, just the way he carries himself. He looks... Yeah. He looks like he knows that he was made to play for Leeds, and the way he was trying to get Somerville back on the pitch and the rest of the players to go and get the winning goal. He had no qualms about being authoritative and doing what Cooper would do. That was brilliant. So yeah, massive plus there. Of course, we can't expect to rely on him every single game, and he will probably have ups and downs. But yeah, massive plus, and Ampadu brilliant as well. Yeah, really good start for them too.
Okay, I'm going to come to you. It's lineage, innit? It's heritage. It's grey heritage. It's knowing what you come in. And I almost put Creswell in that category as well. It's like they've come from footballing families that are engrossed in the football club as well and just know what's required of them, you know what I mean? And hearing... that got me all excited there, Rock. I was like, what? Come on. And Kate, I could see you nodding. Yeah, it was. It was
emotional to watch, actually, because like Rocco said, he kind of almost knew that he was made to play for Leeds, but he was born, I think, to play for Leeds. And you can see that he is so mature, and I think he did hold back yesterday, particularly in the first half, but he didn't really put a foot wrong, did he? And then the second half, he you could see him being authoritative on the pitch, like Rocco just said. He was trying to G everybody up. He was, showing leadership qualities, and his decision making, making the correct decision at the right time when he was in possession, not sort of rushing, just passing back when he needed to, confident, composed on the ball, and just amazing, really, to see that you've got that amount of talent literally in the sort of palm of your hand. You just got to nurture it and not like has been mentioned, sort of put too much pressure on it moving forward. He's got to be nurtured, and he's humble. I love that about him. He's so humble. He's an example at 17 of side before self, and I love it. And you don't get that, I don't think, unless you've got that footballing
heritage. Pedigree. Yeah.
And you know the thing with Gray as well, and you can probably say this about Creswell, they are Leeds. So Ellen Road ain't pressure to them. No. This is fun. Yeah. This is they love this. This is their dream. It's not like these players come in, they hear about Ellen Road. They know about Ellen Road. They know what it requires. That's a little thing about them too. And you can see that in the performance. Archie Gray don't care. He'll run around and he'll do his thing. He's not bothered about pressure.
I was saying this, man. You wait till someone stands him up. He'll be like, Let's have it there. You can see it. You know what I mean? He's not.
One moment was funny though when he came off. He walked around. He came past his fans, and he had his head down, and a little lip out, like you say. Yeah, he's still a kid. A little sulk. How's that like? Bless him.
He was lovely in that video, wasn't he? The video. Thank you.
Yeah, he's still a kid, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And like someone's mentioned there, we've got his younger brother to come through yet as well. I think he plays up front as well, so he's even better apparently. So that'll be nice in a few years. So
Jerry McDermott said he will be one of the best strikers in Europe in the next 10 years. Keep an eye on him. He said he's absolutely smashing. He got 100 goals in one of his seasons as a young player. He says he's absolutely smashing goals in. Harry's
Move over Erling, mate. We got a new one in town. Do you know what? Everyone's on about gassing him up and pressure and all that. As fans, you can't help but get excited. But Joe, I want to come to you. Obviously, you're involved in coaching and stuff. It sounds like on the face of it, he's got the perfect coach for him. In the fact, every time Farkas, he's just tempering expectations. Whereas I feel, and I hate to bring up the American car salesman, he'd be going, he's the best young player that's ever graced this earth, and everyone would be going, yeah, man, and that's true. It is true.
Didn't he?
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go.
He was in they were doing a training session. He said Eddie'd been up at the ground. He was talking to Eddie, and Archie was training with the first team before he got injured in preseason last year. And he said, Eddie was saying to me, like, he's a 6. And I'm like, nah, he's a 10. He can see things. He's creative. And you're like, great. He's 16. Relax. Give him a minute, will you? But I think if you look at his build, and as the lads have already said, there's no pressure in coming out on this. Playing his first game in Elland Road wasn't something that he would have been fearful of. It would have been something he was expecting to do and something he was waiting to do. They've been in Elland Road. The biggest factor about Leeds in Elland Road is always, can you wear the shirt? It can be very heavy on certain players if they don't have the right characteristics or personality for it. He's grown up around it, in it. He's heard stories of his grandfather, his great uncle, his dad. He's heard all this stuff about Leeds. So he knows exactly what he takes back from the crowd. He knows when it can get toxic. He knows when they're up. He knows all of this stuff. And he can just go out and play his game. And I thought he handled this game with a huge amount of maturity. Fark is absolutely handling him the correct way. Tough love is exactly the way to go with him. But again, the attitude has to be right. We've seen tough love bounce off Willie Gnonto, and he didn't react particularly well to a bit of tough love. Cree's a bit like that as well. But if you look at how Archie's handling it, he seems taking it on board. Also, look at half time when Tyler Adams was walking around the park with him, and then again at full time when Tyler Adams was out with him. Not only is he getting feedback from older players, he's perceptive and he's open to that feedback as well, which is a huge characteristic for a young player to have. I'm not the finished article. I do need to get better. You're better. Tell me what I need to do to get better, and it's great to see that. So I think he's got the right characteristics, the right attitude, and I think he has got the right manager.
Yeah. 100%. Let's talk a little bit about Ampadu then before we move on to further up the field. I'll come to you, Andrea. Thoughts on Ethan? I know you mentioned him obviously in the scouting report way back when, and we went and signed him. So
yeah, because I thought he was going to be a player suited for the system, and he proved that, because of course he has a lot of vision, speeds up the play. And I start with the second half. I think he was brilliant in the second half when he had more space in front of him to create, to dialogue with the other players, especially when he passed the ball to Sinisterra, in the final minutes. And it was crucial as a link up in the second half. He's a player that, of course, needs to be covered and needs space, because in the first half he didn't get much of the ball because he was, of course, pressed by Cardiff. They had a little cage around him, and Gray was instrumental in helping the team going forward. But ultimately, it's not Ampadu's fault, because he tried to move and get the ball, but he always had a Cardiff man near him, and that's why we didn't have verticality. We started to have verticality in the second half, where Ampadu got more space and of course meters to carry the ball and create. Also, I was impressed by his carrying, honestly, because we've seen in preseason that he always likes to play 2 touches and with his vision, trying to speed up the build-up. But yesterday he also carried the ball a little bit going up the pitch, bringing it forward, and I like that, honestly. Of course, I think Gray was slightly better looking at the whole game, because he helped us massively in the first half, Gray. And Ampadu in the first half, I think he was was position. He didn't have a good positioning on the first goal because Bowler came from his area and he was watching the ball and going like all the other defenders with to Odauda. And in the second one, he allowed the through ball, to Bowler from Rolls, was it? Yeah, I think it was Rolls. But yeah, overall in the second half, it was brilliant. He helped us massively. The two key players for me, apart from Somerville, of course, who scored the goal in the equalizing goal, were of course Ampadu and Byram, who changed the whole game, because Byram broke the danger to that wing, and we didn't threaten at all in the first half. We yelled. On the other hand, we were threatened a lot, and Ampadu had a lot of space, and it clicked our build up. The pace and the rhythm of the whole team changed with that, and really congrats to Fage, because with the substitution of Byron, he changed the whole balance of the team, allowed Ampadu to have more space, because Byron was bringing a lot of pressure from them on the left wing, and when they didn't break through there, they could pass the ball to the middle, and Ampadu was there to create and move the ball to the other side or move it forward to Samuel going towards the ball or Nyonto going towards the ball. Because, like Joe said previously, there was a lot of throw-liness and the movement between them. There was no static positioning for Nyonto, Samuel, and Sinisterra, and that was clearly part of the game plan.
Muted there for a second. Great stuff, mate. Yeah, so both midfielders really good, but like Jamie says, we need some additions in there and quick. And if Adams is going to exit and leave Chelsea, that's totally fine. I don't know if I can wish him all the best. This is the thing. I was talking about it on a video earlier. I really, really, really like Adams, but he's just going to them, innit? I don't know how to feel about it, to be honest. I mean, if he was here longer, I'd probably feel more pain over it, but because he's only been here one season and he was actually all right, I'm like, I crack on, we need the money, do you know what I mean? Feck it, but it's disappointing. But yeah, anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Let's talk about yesterday's game and the players that we have got here. I'm conscious of time, so we'll try and get through this as quick, but Dan James discuss, I'm still not sold on him. I think we all thought he would smash it in the Championship. I think he did well in the second half, but I just wanted to get the general consensus, because I thought he was poor again, and for me, I'd drop him and look at maybe even starting Poveda. If Poveda does well against Shrewsbury, I'd start him at the weekend. I would, and move Cini and Somerville either side potentially. Kate, you were in there. What are your thoughts on James?
I just didn't think he made the impact that we've seen him make over the last over the sort of pre-season. I mean, I can't look at it in any other way than just literally he kind of did nothing for me yesterday. He wasn't as sort of positive on the ball. He didn't create the chances that he usually creates. Do you know what I mean? Most of the action for me yesterday came from Cini, Gnonto, and Somerville, and more down the right. I don't know. He kind of went without. I don't know what's the word. He sort of didn't stand out. I didn't kind of go, oh my God, Dan James has done this or that, the other. He just didn't do much, and it was kind of, don't know whether somebody else would have been better in that position, but I wanted actually Poveda to start, maybe Somerville down the left, but that was just me. That didn't happen. At least I got Gnonto up front. I don't know whether that was a success.
He's all right.
Is it fair to say, Joe, that potentially if we had a number 9 who was able to bring it out and maybe bring others into play, therefore spacing behind, Dan James would work better? Does that make sense?
I don't think he had a bad game. I think in the first half it was a case that Leeds played everything down the right hand side of the park. We barely ever got the ball across to the far side of the pitch. Even in the second half, James got a lot of the ball because again everything was on the manager's side of the park, and it was like Leeds had worked on attacking on one side. It was always going to be the near side to where the bench was. I thought in the second half he was much better. He was a lot more direct. I mean, he did have chances in the first half as well, and he did create a chance that we nearly scored from the first half.
Yeah, so we did. Yeah,
he did do some stuff. I mean, if he gets one assist in that game, you're like, great, he got an assist, he's done his job, and he's unlucky not to get, unlucky not to score. And even with the striker situation, Willie Gnonto has 2 very, very good chances in the first half to score, and should score. And I actually was very happy with Gnonto in the number 9. I thought he was bit more shooting practice, maybe a few more games up there. I think you could see a really sharp finisher in tight spaces. But I didn't see a huge amount. I understand what people are saying about Dan James because he didn't do anything.
It's my agenda, Joe. It's my agenda.
No, I think you look at a game, you look at it and you go,
and it was offside because of Ayling.
No, that
was
was
offside. It was a goal. Yes, Ayling was offside. He wasn't offside. Ayling was caught off. But also, by the way, that drove me nuts. Fullbacks getting caught offside 4 or 5 times yesterday. That should never happen ever, especially not professional football. Jesus, you're a fullback. How are you offside? But that happened several times. But yeah, Ayling got caught offside for the goal. But I think it's easy to look at the game. And again, I don't have any issue with people who say he didn't do an awful lot because in the first half, they're right. He didn't do an awful lot, but we didn't get the ball to him. I think we've got to look at supply as well into these players. And again, I think that the slowness, especially in the first half, the slowness is how we went up the pitch. Again, just let's Cardiff drop a low block. And then what are you going to do with Dan James? Put the ball in behind for 2 yards of space. It's just not going to work, is it? You've got to find a different way of getting in behind. So in the second half, when it was a bit more open and a bit faster, then all of a sudden he starts to get into it. But again, it's only one game. It's the first competitive game. On the other point about these lads playing on Wednesday night, I wouldn't have an issue with this team playing again on Tuesday night because they need games. It's preseason still. They're 2 games short on preseason, so if they can get a couple more games and then start rotating it, great. But I would use the game on Tuesday night to get more minutes. I think it would be okay. It's great that we have choice in the wide areas is the big thing. I mean, you can take James out and bring in Pavetta. You could take Somerville from the centre, as Kate said, and put him out wide. They're all really good options to have. So there's a good option to change it if we need to change it.
I completely agree on Dan James. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, first half, it was annoying because obviously with the lack of Hjelde getting up, they were able to have an extra guy on Dan James and he received it quite deep, so he couldn't actually run at defenders. You know, the byline was quite close, so he had to come back all the time, and that's not his game, is it? He's not that type of player. But like I said, when we got him in the second half with more space, there's 2 or 3 times where he got up the line, just booted it, and then we were in a half then, and then we had chances from that. And that shot where he cuts inside and hits it in bottom corner, he'll score 5 or 6 like that this season, I think. That's what he's good at. He did it in pre-season which got called off.
Do you know, on that, Lockie, I mean, you won't have got it in the game. You might have seen it on the rewatch, but I do want to give him credit for that because it was such a slight little movement on to his right to enable him to, like, curl it. It was so close. It was quite impressive, actually, to be fair to him.
Yeah, that's what he did with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and he did it for Swansea a lot. That was the type of goal he used to score, just cutting in and hitting it in that bottom corner. Now, again, on the start, does he start? I still think Pavetta's impressed me when he's come on. We was saying, rightfully so, sceptical. He's 3 for 3 now. Yeah. He's a 3 performance. He's performed well. Do you give him a start against Shrewsbury? Does he play 90 minutes? If he plays well, what else can he do? For me, what else can he do for that start?
Yeah, I'll start him honestly against Shrewsbury. He needs a start from the start, a chance from the start. Because, of course, when he was called upon, he always performed and then had impact. Yesterday, in a very short amount of time, because he was brought in around the 82nd, 83rd minute, he did make an impact. We weren't threatening on the right-hand side, and he broke that spark, on that wing, because he tried to dribble, tended to dribble, trying to get past his opponent, and he broke threat to that side. So starting against Shrewsbury, and James, I agree with both of you, because I don't think he was that bad in the first half. It's just like you just said, we were going more on the right side, and we went on the left side. I think he passed the ball pretty well between the other players, the other ones, especially Sinisterra and Somerville. I still think we should need to judge him again with a number 9 and maybe a creative 10, because I think with a player more near him, he will be more instrumental of the ball, especially with the cuts and trying to cut behind the defense and get in behind. The only mistake I think he did in the first half was when he didn't pass the ball to Ayling going forward when he had the space. I think in the second, he was really lively and was really spark. I think in certain situations, just looking at the situation, it was better than Sinisterra. Even, of course, Sinisterra was instrumental for the goal, but in terms of rhythm and the pace of the build-up and contributing to the build-up, I think James contributed more, because Sinisterra, sometimes he slowed that down a bit. Yeah, he didn't on the goal, of course, because he was brilliant with that turn, the James turn applied by Sinisterra, with that turn to create the space to shoot, and then on the rebound, of course, Somerville scored. But I think James overall in the second half, in terms of ball circulation, contributed more for me. In terms of timing, the decision making still needs to improve. By the way, especially in the first half, like the when he didn't pass the ball to Ayling prove, you know.
Yeah, no.
One thing I saw as well.
That out as well, by the way, the decision making. He needs to move the ball quicker when he gets it to his feet. He can't be taking 5-6 touches every single time and slowing everybody else down. When players are going past Sinisterra for quick 1-2s, he has to be able to get himself ready to release that ball quickly. It's a bit too slow with him at times.
Fairs.
Exactly.
Fairs. Let's finish up on Mr. Cree Somerville. I thought second half. I mean, he was everywhere, weren't he, Lockie? Do you want to take this one, mate? 'Cause I know you've been glowing about him all day, but he was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah, I definitely have an agenda. Somerville, I love him. But Wingers Union or wherever he plays. For me, yeah, you know what it was, right? For him, it was the unpredictability of where he was going to pick the ball up. Every second, that second half, he was in a different position. He had it on the half turn. He had it out wide. He came deeper a lot of the time. He was unmarkable. That was the thing for me. They couldn't mark him. The first half, he didn't move as enough, and it was quite obvious where he was going to go. But the second half, he just turned up anywhere, and he create link-up play. He'd make runs in behind. He'd constantly be a threat. And defending against that guy who's got the bit between his teeth in that second half, with the way he drove, the way he moved, is impossible to mark and impossible to tackle, really. And we saw that a lot. The decision making sometimes that's the player he is. You know, he's still got to learn that stuff, and hopefully he will, because if he learns that, he won't be in the championship. I'm glad he's not fully got that yet. Otherwise, I don't think he'd be here. But just the way, so when I play, like I said in stadium, from my view, and it might be different for people, but when he picked the ball up, I was off my seat. I just felt like something was going to happen, or at least we'd get a chance. You know, he had the shot in the first half, which was a great save. The shot in the second, just wide. You know, instrumental in all our attacking work in the second half. And I think for me, even if you start him in the 10, just play him in a role. I don't care where it is, just play him in the attack. Let him run around and have a bit of fun, because that's what he's good at when he's got freedom.
Yeah. No, I think he's I thought he was great, and I haven't always backed him from the start, so it's great to see. You mentioned something there about him potentially moving to the Premier League, and if he's ready. Now, we're going to go around and just quick fire if we can, because, you know, for me, I've gone, it's like dealing with grief or whatever it is, the 7 stages of grief or whatever. I've gone through stages where I've been like, they can all feck off. And now I'm at, like, after seeing them yesterday, I'm like, oh, I really want to keep Cine. I really want to keep Nonto. Like, for me, the front four, and everyone battered me for this on the stream, but I said pre-match that front four is the best in the division. I know, you know me, I'm not one for one, but I still stand by that point. When you actually look at it, the front four that started, it's up there. It's okay, Leicester, Mavadidi, Keenan, okay, but there's a discussion to be had. So I want to just go through quick fire if we can. We'll start with you, Rocco, and we'll go Kate, Joe, Andrea, Lockie, back to me. Start with Nonto. Will he be here, yes or no?
I'm gonna have to say no. I've sort of said that from the beginning of the summer. I hope I'm wrong, because like you, I think them front four will cook, as the youngsters say.
Yes, as I try say, mate. I tried to keep bringing more younger viewers, mate. My demographic is up here, so I like to use that word myself. Kate, Nonto, stay or go?
Stay.
Really? Oh, I hope you're right.
At least until Jan, I think.
That'd be nice. And the thing is, if they're there till Jan and you're doing well, you can maybe convince them to see the season out. That's the thing, isn't it? Joe, Nonto, stay or go?
I think he goes. I think he goes soon as well. I think he's gone the next couple of weeks. Next 2 weeks.
Good.
Yeah.
I know they mentioned it on Sky actually, and Andrea's mentioned this all the way throughout.
Thanks for having a chance to look at the news today. Thanks for.
They mentioned about Mancini wanting him to play in a high division. They actually mentioned that on the Sky comms, and I remember Andrea saying it as
they have an agenda when it comes to Nonto. They keep having like he's the only Leeds player being mentioned in their news updates daily, and it's like there's no news. The news on Nonto is there hasn't been a second offer from Everton. But they seem to keep pushing.
Freiburg can't afford him, can they? That's what I heard.
It's just from payment apparently is causing.
Does he have a release clause?
No,
he doesn't. But Leeds want an upfront fee of minimum 15 plus add-ons, and apparently none of them can put the 15 up front.
Exactly. Exactly. The only way we can keep him is that, like Jer pointed out correctly here, is that no one right now can and is willing to pay that sum for him at this stage. So, but I don't think the 49ers will drop the fee, will drop the amount. No. They will stick with the price tag. So I think they'll try to push for a move with his agent. Of course, his agent was, like I said multiple times, really clear about the fact that he couldn't stay in the championship, but he was proven wrong for one game at least, because he played in the championship in the end. But like Mancini said, he's also said the same thing about Zaniolo, basically, because Zaniolo is playing for the Turkish club.
Yeah.
And of course, if we qualify for Euro 2024, he needs to play in higher division and challenge the other players. Of course, there are plenty of competition, and the players in his position play in Serie A, in Bundesliga, like Grifo, for example.
And the facts are as well, Andre. I can't blame Nonto for wanting to play for his country, man. Do you know what I mean? You can't say to him, you got to stay put. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Joe, also we should consider that, if we bring in a number 9, Nonto gets moved to the left wing, or we keep playing James or Poveda, and you may move Somerville to the left, bring in another number 10, then Somerville number 10, and Sinisterra with the number 9 up front. So he risks with
he
all
might be
those
like
fingers.
superfluous. Yeah, I do get
exactly.
that. I don't know whether it'll go. All I heard today was 21 million for they were asking, and Freiburg wanted them, but they couldn't afford it. But I mean, I would like him to.
The thing is, if someone really wants him, the closer we get to the window, the more likely they are to pay. Yeah. Look at Liverpool. Look at Liverpool and Lavia. They started at 20, they're at 30, now they're at 45, and that's been rejected. They will pay the 50. That's ultimately South, and we need to do the same and say, no, you're not getting him unless you pay X, Y, Z. And I feel with the 49ers, we might have a bit of that. Let's move on, player then.
If I may, just one quick thing, because I just checked, because you mentioned Sky. I wanted to check if there were news about him in Italy. And they were talking, the recent one about Gnonto. And here we go back to the loan, a possibility if he doesn't find a solution in a Premier League club time to play, to of course acquire him. They were venting a possible loan to a Serie A club with an option to buy, but I think it's agent push this one. Honestly, I don't think the club will be pro and favorable regarding a possible solution like this one.
I was going to say, Andre, given how many players have been forced out on loan that the club had no control over,
exactly.
The option of somebody actually voluntarily allowing somebody to leave on loan would be
exactly. They're trying to push the move. By the way, we know that for sure. But the 49ers are strong, in that specific case. I think that the money will come, from example, for Adams, from players who have clauses.
Harrison as well, potentially.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's to come back if he doesn't go. He's to come back as well, and he's more than capable at this division. Another great player then, Lockie, and I'll start with you, mate. Sinisterra.
Yeah. You didn't actually ask me a Nonto one, which
Go on then, go on. I was just trying to hurry it up a little bit, but if you want to answer that one as well. No, go on, quickly. Yes or no?
I think, he goes. I think Rogue side in the top 6 of Premier League is going to go for him last week of the window. Okay. There we go. Okay. Sinisterra goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Cine?
Does he stay?
Yeah, I'll go.
Probably, I think he stays. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, me too.
You too, Andrea. Yeah. What about you, Kit?
Stay. Who the hell knows?
Yeah. Are you getting bored of this game already? Hey, God. Go on, Rocco.
Yeah, no, I think he'll stay. I don't think we've got a reason to sell him. He'll be fine. We'll sell. Yeah, we'll sell the others before him.
Yeah.
I think it's
Adams and Nonto go. Those 3 go, I think.
I hope Cree stays. But
who did you say, Jack?
Cree, Nonto, and Adams go. I think.
Cree going as well.
For me, Gnonto, Adams, and Harrison for me.
Oh, interesting.
I think the thing is with Cree and Somerville keeps getting linked to Crystal Palace. And if Elise goes to Man City, then maybe they might come and take Sinisterra. And I think he would I think he would suit a Palace side. Do you know what I mean as well? So I could see that being a likely move, but I'd like to keep him. Right, we'll end it there because I don't want to run on too long. We've done an hour and 10 minutes there or thereabouts. So yeah, listen, thank you all for watching this show. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell. Make sure you all go check out these amazing content creators as well. They'll have all done post-match stuff. Andre will have done musings on Twitter. I've sampled a lot of it throughout the day. I do love the fact that football's back because the first thing I did on the morning was podcasts. Then it's YouTube because I pay for YouTube Premium, so I can just stick it in my pocket and close my thing. So it's like, yeah, I just sample it all. So I love it. I love that football's back, and then Premier League's back as well, and I'm right into that as well. So we move. It's all good. Yeah, so make sure you check out each of these amazing content creators, and hopefully this week, I think we'll get some signings. I do. By Birmingham. I think we might have 2 in the door. Maybe I'm asking too much, but at least one. And it'll be a centre-back. We'll see. Thanks, everyone, and we will see you all soon. Peace out.